birthday to you. Happy
We're not gonna eat these because it's all wax.
Happy birthday, dear Steve.
Steven.
Happy birthday to you.
Make a wish. Blow them out!
Hi, Colleen and kids. Well, I can't believe it's been 1 year ago since we lost Steve. He was always part of our family from junior high through high school. Colleen, you know we had a hard time getting those boys through those years, but we did it. They were always good boys. They just had other interests. I think girls might have been involved. Loved him like a son. He will certainly is so missed, and we love you guys very much. Thank you.
Well, Colleen, this is for you. I know there's going to be tears, but I love you, girl. Wow, what can I say about Steve? One thing I can say, he loved his children more than life itself. I can still remember his laugh. It was like no other. I guess I was pretty blessed because most people can't have a one-on-one with him because he was always on the move. But when I had him in my chair, we talked about everything. I remember once he told me he needed to spend more time. No, I remember I told him he needed to spend more time with his mom. He laughed and said, "But Jean, she drives me crazy." But I love her with all my heart, and he did. And then he promised he would. He also said, "My family means everything to me and always will." He always loved to talk about Lex and Grant. He told me a story one time. He was in the living room and Lexi come in and plopped in his lap. He said she was telling him all about her day and her friends, and he said she sat there for more than an hour telling me everything. And he said, "You can't ask for anything better than that." At 14 years old, that's amazing. He was tickled to death over that one. And for Grant, they were inseparable, like two peas in a pod. Their actions, their humor, their expressions were like no other. Also, their love for sports. Just look at Grant, you see Steve. Also, look at Augie. He looked so much like Steve did when he was a baby. Okay, let's celebrate his life on his birthday. I'm sure that's what he would want. Happy birthday, Steve. I really, truly loved you. I'll see you and your dad when I get there.
Stephen Luff was loved by many people. He always had a smile for everyone. When he was a boy playing with his collection of trucks and dozers, he would play for hours. Then he moved up to his Lego collection. As time went by, he grew to become a man. He became a father to Lexi and Grant. They became his life. I have many memories of Steve. My favorite and funny memory of him was when he was 3 and decided to show off his birthday cake, which he took out of the fridge and dropped it on the floor. He thought he was going to be in real trouble, but his smile kept him from it. We were all blessed to have Stephen in our lives, just not long enough.
So this video is for Steve. We spend most of our times on the baseball fields. Just thinking about Steve is he's very selfless and always had a smile on his face. If I always had a bad day, he's always smiling. He would always greet me with Mrs. Duff, no matter how many times I told him that Mrs. Duff is my mother-in-law. And I'm Melissa. He would always still call me Mrs. Duff. We miss you, Steve.
Hi guys. First wanted to start off by just saying I think it's awesome that you guys as a family still get together to celebrate, the lives of Jerry and now Steve. And I think it's awesome that you do all those things together to remember, all the awesome things from from the past, and you get to reminisce and kind of relive those things. A funny story, as you know, Steve and I spent almost all of our time on the baseball field together. So a funny story that I would have about Steve, not related to baseball, was the very first fishing trip I took with those guys. We have this competition for who could catch the biggest fish. And it was just last year that I was told that Steve was catching fish and making sure everybody else in his boat had big fish, because he was not going to let me or Jared win that big fish competition on our first trip down there. So another thing that I always liked about Steve was he always called my wife Mrs. Duff. And as much as she might say, try to turn it around, that she's not Mrs. Duff or whatever, I knew she respected that. I respected that. And Steve always treated me and my family with the utmost respect. And the other thing is, I guess my last thing in saying is that all the time that we spent on the field with Steve at baseball and Grant is, we miss Steve all the time. There ain't a week, most of the time there's not a game that goes by or a practice, but I don't miss Steve. And this year Grant has really stepped up after everything that's happened. He's really stepped up. He's our leader. He's my go-to almost all the time. And Grant knows that I've made some comments to the whole team this year about how he speaks to me. And one thing I've never told Grant, and little does he know, but he'll know now, is that he approaches me, and a lot of the times we talk about the same stuff that Steve and I would talk about. And I think it's not surprising to me, because Grant is he is a little prodigy of Steve. He is Steve. And so the way I look at this is that all these conversations that I have with Grant, I believe that Steve is still there with us. So I want to wish Steve a happy birthday. I want to wish you guys a wonderful evening in celebrating his birthday. And know that I'm here for you guys, for anything you guys need. And I guess that's it. It's still hard for me to talk about because I miss him, but I don't want to cry. I want to celebrate. Like I said, I think it's great. We still have, I have Grant, so I still get to remember Steve through Grant every single day. So, I'm happy, and I hope you guys are doing okay. And don't cry. Celebrate on this day like it's his birthday. So I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
Should have picked the camera up first and said, this is for him, who hangs on our refrigerator all the time.
I'll get that afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Unless you, I get you.
Are we rolling?
Okay.
Who's first? I'm going first.
Go ahead.
Okay. This is about how I got my boat lift thanks to Steve. We were in a tournament, carpenter's tournament, and we had to put in a PV2, and we either had to drive up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 20 miles up the lake at night, or Brandon was down there that weekend fishing with Mark and his boat. So we decided, no, Brandon's going to bring us up, drop us off. So we figured we're gonna fish around there first, around the 20-mile marker. If we don't catch on it, we're gonna keep moving down, you know. And that way we don't get anything, we're home. Brandon don't have to come and pick us back up. So everything was great from like 6:30 till 9. And then we started getting phone calls. Or he started getting phone calls from Liz. And it was every 10 minutes. And I'm like, really? Tell her you love her and you'll talk to her later, everything's fine. 10 minutes later, another phone call. So this goes on for like literally 3 hours every 10 minutes. And I go, Steve, just don't answer the phone. He goes, no. He goes, I got to her, she's gonna get mad at me. Which she would have, I understand that. So it was probably 12 o'clock, and we ain't catching no fish. And we're down by this one point. Here comes another phone call, 10 minutes after the other one. And he liked to sit on the back of he liked to sit, you know, the platform, and he would sit on the motor so he could fish back there. So I turn around and look at him, he's got his phone like this, and he's reeling in like this, you know, and next thing I hear is an expletive. I can't say this. And I go, what's wrong? I go, did you lose one? He goes, no, I just dropped my damn phone in the water. So I thought, well, that's great, because now I ain't got to listen to no more phone calls. Every 10 minutes, you know what I'm saying?
We love you, Liz.
Yeah, we love you, Liz. Sorry, but that's what you did for about 4 hours, okay? Yeah, I know you're going to see that. So, he goes, I need my phone. I said, well, it just fell in the lake. He goes, no, I need another phone. We got to go in somewhere and get a phone. So I said, you're kidding me. We're sitting there fishing a tournament. He goes, no, I got to have a phone. I said, you can call her on my phone. Which he did, and explained to her, I dropped my phone in the water. You know, he didn't say, because I was talking to you while I was trying to fish. But anyway, we wound up going into Osage Beach. And we're sitting in the store, and he's explaining to this gal. He goes, I dropped my phone in the water, and I need that phone because I have everybody I owe money to, everybody who owes me money, contractors, all their numbers, all my contacts are on that phone. She goes, well, did you ask if he signed up for something? I don't know what it was. And she goes, if you can get a hold of that phone and pull the card out of it, we can probably retrieve the information off of it. And in the meantime, this honestly happened. I'm sitting there, and you know, this guy walks in, another guy walks in, and he goes to the gal next to the one that was taking care of Steve, going, you ain't gonna believe what happened. And I said, just kidding around. I go, you dropped your phone in the lake. And the guy goes, how'd you know? I said, because I'm with him, and he did the same thing. I swear to God that happened. So here, you know, he goes, I gotta have a phone. So she hooks him up with another phone, and he goes, now if I get that phone back, and I can get that card out of it, you can get the information off that card? She goes, yeah, if you can get the phone. So he asked her, do you know any divers? And I'm like, really? A diver? That's when we hired, or he did, he hired a diver to retrieve his phone.
They looked for your rod and reel while they were at it, right?
No, that was a different fishing tournament. We lost that one at a different one. So anyway, I go, really? You're going to hire a diver? He goes, I got to have that phone. So this gal at the Sprint shop, or whatever phone it was, gives him the number of a diver. So he's got his new phone now. He calls the diver and says, hey, meet us at Rocky Mount. You know where that's at? And we were at Manny's because the water at our house was too low. It was at our old house, but we couldn't get the boat in there. No, it was at the house we got now because I needed the lift. But we couldn't get, couldn't get the boat in there. So I'm sitting there thinking, really? You're gonna hire a diver. Well, he did. He met us there at Rocky Mount. We went down to Manny's, got him in there, in the boat, his tanks and everything. And it was like $250 an hour, $200 an hour for this guy to go look. So I'm thinking I would not retrieve that phone for no $200 an hour. But he had to do it. That's Steve, you gotta know. And this guy, he was down there for about an hour and could not find the phone because it was on ledges and it kept dropping down. And he told the guy, just stay in there, stay in there. So an hour and a half later, the guy keeps coming back up going, I can't see nothing. Now I'm in 60 foot of water and I can't do nothing but feel around on the rock. He goes, I can't do it. So you know Steve, he goes, just keep looking for that phone, keep looking. So it was like 2 hours. So that's like $400. You know, or 450 bucks, whatever it was. And finally the guy says, look, he goes, I cannot find that phone because it's in too deep of water, and all I'm doing now is feeling around for it because I can't see what I'm doing. So we get the guy back in the boat, and this is how I got my lift. That's what I'm saying. Thanks to Steve, I got my lift because I've been looking
No,
for.
thanks to Liz calling Steve every 10 minutes, you got your lift.
Well, you know, that's true too. That is true too. Thanks to Liz. After all that, yeah, I guess Liz was involved in that. Because we're sitting over at Manny's and this guy's drinking with us, you know, and he goes, Steve just looks at the guy and goes, hey, by the way, you wouldn't have know anybody that's got a boat lift for sale, do you? And the guy goes, yeah, my buddy's got one for sale. Steve goes, see, there's your boat lift. So that's how I got my boat lift.
Well, the only thing I really can think of it right now to say is Steve helped us out a lot around this house. But one thing that he always kind of gave us trouble for was the fact that he built his house faster than we built our deck. And then he had to come over here, we had to have a barbecue to get him over here to finish off the post. So Steve was always a big help to us. And speaking of the deck,
Oh, yeah.
one night the school was on lockdown.
Yes, in elementary.
And I think Liz,
Liz ended up bringing me home that night, and the back porch or back deck light wasn't on, and I kept hearing something, and I went and walked in front of the door and turned the light on, and there's Steve just standing there at the door. Didn't knock or anything, and scared the crap out of me, and I went running through the house like a crazy person.
screaming like a little girl.
Screaming.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Well,
he
you
was
are.
always, yeah, he was always playing tricks and always had a smile on his face. That's what I remember most about him. He always had a smile, and every time we needed something, he was always here to help out.
Oh, I gotta add something.
And the long, super blonde hair. Always remember that.
I gotta add something
Mullet.
to it because Grant's gonna see this. Because every time we went by that point where Steve lost his phone, I would tell Grant, "Hey, dial your dad's number. Watch the bubbles come up." You know, the phone. And Steve would slap me in the back of the head. Shut up, Grant. You know where that point's at.
I had a couple small ones. What I remember Steve most about is always being a hell of a cook. And anytime we go down to the lake,
Oh, he always
like
did.
at
He
the
did all
Ozarks,
the cooking.
Tanacomo, he'd always have a big spread made out for everybody. So it didn't matter if you brought something or not, he didn't care. He'd always do that.
Yeah, he
Always ate
always
good
bought
because-
everything.
Yeah.
You-
He'd always have a huge, about the width of the back of his bed, he had a cooler that big, just full of stuff. It didn't matter if it was one full day down at the lake or 4 days down at Branson. But he always brought the supplies, always brought the food. And then of course that's another best memory is when you went overboard in the water
I fell out of the
during
boat.
deer season, and Steve just comes over and almost just with one hand in there just picks him up. Out of the
Well,
water.
you grabbed me. You actually.
We all got a hold of you, but
You actually.
he was the deciding factor.
You grabbed my arm to hold me from going under, and all I felt was two big paws go
But from what
and
I
jerked me
heard,
back in the boat.
from what I heard, the only reason Steve did that is because Johnny had the key to the house in his pocket.
Yeah, so we didn't want to be, out of luck there.
Yeah, you don't want to kick a window in.
Well, anyway, we loved Steve to death.
He's definitely missed.
Miss him a lot. Had a lot of good times with him. And
We missed the more than anything, another memory. We missed the beer cans and bottles in the yard, and then
Oh yeah.
yeah, thanks for that, Steve.
that was a good letting us know that everything was good. He was here. We're gonna miss that. So
And he always, if you needed something, he was always there. I mean, he didn't know how to say no. That can't be done. We can do that. Just like, well, I'm gonna tell you another time we was fishing in a tournament and I caught a duck with a Zara spook. It's about that long, has treble hooks on it. And you know how on commercial docks, they'll go like this, and they got a walkway that goes down. I actually threw in there with this spook, and there was a duck flying right out underneath there and flew right into it. And I actually had the duck, and it was going up in the air. And this was during one of the carpenter tournaments. And then finally the duck went down, hit the water, but it was all wrapped up and had that thing all stuck in it and everything. I ever tell you about that? And
I was there. Remember? I was there for both of them.
And anyway, Steve goes.
Yeah, twice he did that.
Steve goes. I told him just cut the line, just don't let it go. He goes, no, I'll get the lure out. And as he's hanging over the water, he looks back at me and goes, do ducks bite? And I said, well, I don't know. I don't know if they do or not. I said, you're bigger than a duck, don't worry about it. So he reached down and all I could hear is, ow, 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 because the thing was banging on him, And then like 3 or 4 minutes later, he's got it by the head and he's trying to undo it and everything. And the duck flies off and all I hear is, ow. And I went, now what? He goes, it's in my hand. And the lure was stuck in his hand. One of the hooks was all buried in him. But he got it out.
Oh, never a dull moment.
No. And he hangs on our refrigerator still.
Miss you every day.
Hello, Aunt Colleen. Hi, this is Nick here. Hey, just wanted to share just a special memory that I have of Steven. We didn't get to spend a whole lot of time together. We didn't grow up really playing or doing much together, but I do have a special memory that I have of him, and that is at Christmas times when we always went down to Grandma's and had a great time. I remember sitting around the table and talking about fish tanks. That was a similar and something that we had in common, that we liked fish tanks. And I remember him talking about his fish tanks and his love for them, and I shared my love for him, and he'd talk about his shark that he wanted, and I always wanted a shark. And he was a very special man, and we all loved him. And I know this is coming up on a hard time for you guys, and know that we love you and that we're praying for you, and that we miss him. And so we pray that God's comfort and grace would just wrap you in this time. Bless you. We love you, Aunt Colleen, and praying blessings on you. Bye-bye.
Hi,
I want to start with thanking Lisa for the opportunity to be a part of Steve's birthday party. I do appreciate all the interaction and the fun we've had as a family. I am honored to be a part of this. I think probably the part that stood out most with me with Steve was his personality. He was friendly to everyone, made everyone feel warm and welcomed, probably never met a stranger, and just immediately became friends. He had many, many talents. He was our chauffeur. Probably top of the list on our memories would be, of course, those hay rides and the family reunion. He was a basketball star when it came to the family reunion, even though we sometimes worried about that everyone would come out okay. He was also a carpenter. He knew so much about everything. Whenever we added on to our room, he gave me hints and tips up to the room on our new house. And there were times he checked my oil for me. I remember he changed my windshield wiper blades. He just seemed to be knowledgeable about everything. He seemed to have a good balance between work and play. It seemed like there's always so much that needs our attention, but yet he took time to play. He was such a fun person and so warm and loving, friendly, compassionate, well-balanced. He also handed those down to you, Lexi and Grant. It seems like you always are friendly and compassionate to other people. You seem to always handle things very, very well and very well-rounded. And I'm so glad you're part of such a wonderful family with Colleen and with Aunt Sarah and so many people that you know love you and are always there for you. And so I just want to join you all in celebrating what a wonderful person Steve was and wishing him a very happy birthday. Love you all.
When I think of Steve, the first thing that comes to my mind is the love for his family. When he would talk about Grant and Lexi, you could just see him beaming with pride over his kids. Whether it be sporting events or Lexi's dance, every time he talked about them, you could just see the love for them. Grant and Lexi are such a legacy for him, and that's awesome. And the other thing I think of when I think of Steve is his generosity and willingness to help the people that he cared about. Steve, Lisa, and I were truly blessed to be raised by strong, independent women. And being raised by them, we all know that you never tell Colleen or Jean to no if they ask you to do anything, or to wait to do it, because when they want something done, it's done right then. And I think we probably got the same traits, but that's a good thing. So, a lot of my memories of Steve are, just thinking he's a jack of all trades. He could fix anything, he could build anything, whether it be working at a snow cone stand, whether it be selling beads at Mardi Gras, whether it be building houses, fixing just about anything. He really could do it all. I remember a lot of times going over to my mom's house, and she would say, "Hey Kelly, come look at this. Steve helped me do it." I also know she told me time after time that how much she truly enjoyed spending the time with Steve one-on-one whenever she was cutting his hair. They would have some talks, and she truly treasured those moments. Just thinking back on some of the times and things like that, I think about how what an impact he made on the people's lives around him. And hopefully some of those things that he built will now be treasures and remind you of the great person that he was. Until we meet again, my friend, you will be truly missed.
Hey guys, it's Emily, International Habitat, in front of the camera. Happens all the time with paparazzi, out and about. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so into the video. So probably one of my favorite memories from even just my childhood and about Coach is softball. Softball was always a big part of my life. that's one of the main things I remember. And also, we'd always sometimes go out to eat afterwards, or almost all the times on the weekends, if we didn't have softball, we'd always be over at the Anderson swimming, spend the night. And I remember I'd always wake up and he'd be usually out on the couch, like watching TV and making breakfast, because I'd always be one of the first ones up, because I always wake up early. Another big memory that I remember is we were at the river, and I think it was in like 2011 or something, and it was the year the Cardinals were in the World Series, and we went and put a satellite dish out in the middle of like the field, and we watched the game in our camper, and we actually ended up winning that year, which was really cool, because we were, out camping and you actually could see the World Series. And then probably the biggest thing I remember just about him in general is his caring personality, and definitely fist bumps, because I always remember that was like his way of, like, you know, how someone would give like a high five or a hug. He always gave fist bumps. And yeah, I think that's the end of my video. But love you guys. I'm here if you need me. Fist bump out.
Hi guys. Some of my favorite memories of Steve. Wow. When I think back, Dave and I have known Steve for at least 10 years. And we had so many good times and so many laughs. And I mean, we went camping together. Just the softball. Holy cow, the softball. Without Steve as Emily's coach, that made a world of difference, Steve being her coach, because he was so positive with the girls. It was great to see that type of positive coaching. And I think it helped develop her love for softball, and she really enjoyed her time with it. And it meant a lot to Dave and I. Steve was generous. He came and did career day at my middle school with 8th graders and 7th graders, which, sorry, Grant, you know how 7th and 8th graders are. Anyway, he came and brought all of his tools in and wore his belt, and he talked to him about how important it was to do well in school, and especially in math, because in construction you use math all the time, and he gave him examples. And he shared his tools around, and I was really grateful that he took the nails out of the nail gun, because all I could see is one of my 7th or 8th graders shooting the nails across my room. So I was grateful for that. Then another thing that I could remember, he always had a hug for me, and he always hugs and smiles. Biggest smile. You always left him feeling better than when you first see him. You always feel better. Your mood was always lightened. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about was our deck and pool. Without Steve, we wouldn't have. He designed it for us, and every day I get to enjoy it, and I have a piece of Steve here at the house. He helped us do everything with it, and without him, we wouldn't have had this beautiful setup here in the back of our yard that our family gets to enjoy. And so for that, we are eternally grateful that we have this piece of Steve with us every single day. So we love you guys, and we're always here for you.
There are lots of things that your dad loved and enjoyed. Of course, he loved and enjoyed sports. He loved to grill. He loved spending time with family. But there's absolutely nothing on this earth that he loved or enjoyed more than you two. He loved you with all of his heart. And that was the greatest gift that he ever received, and the happiest I ever saw him when you two were born. And he didn't cry very often, and he did cry both of those times. So, hi. One of the things that your dad really, really liked that he would always pick up when he went to the grocery store was one of his favorite snacks. And that was chicken and a biscuit and squirt cheese. Now, I was going to demonstrate that for you, but you already have caught on to one of his favorite snacks and eat it frequently and enjoy it. So I just thought that'd be something kind of funny and silly that you will always remember that your dad really enjoyed.
There are a lot of things I remember about your dad, but one of the funnier things that I remember about him was almost every time that I came to visit you guys, he would give me a big hug, he would give me a kiss, and then he would step back and say, "Now, how many days did you say you were going to stay?" Or he would say, "Just how long is it you're going to be here? When are you going home?" He did it to me every time we came to visit.
The things I remember about Steve, the first thing was when I lost my job from the railroad, he told me to come up and that he would put me to work. Although I didn't know anything about carpentry much, he put me work and he wanted me to go with him to go to work, and the job they were doing, I was really lost because it's stuff I'd never seen before, let alone worked on. But at the end of the day, even though all I did was carry a few pieces of material, he paid me for a whole day. He also had me to work with him other places, and even if I cut the boards wrong, he would just laugh and say, "Try again." And he'd pay me more than what I was worth. We'd go play golf, he'd always pick up the tab. Even if I just wanted a snack on some peanuts or something, he paid for it all. He always took me with him when he wanted to go someplace. He had me to tag along. He was always giving. Everybody I saw him run into, it was him that was giving, not just of his monetary, but time. He would listen. He'd know. You could change subjects with other people, and he'd keep up with that too. He just was in touch with everybody that he knew that he'd come in contact with. He was in touch with what was going on with them. And he always had a smile for me. He always wanted to shake my hand when I'd see him. He was just a heck of a good guy.
Well, when I think about Stephen, I think about particularly when he was just a baby and he was born with a bulbous nose due to birth problems, and he kept that nose for quite a while. And I used to tell him he was just the ugliest little baby that I'd ever seen, and we laughed about that, and he said he was, and of course Colleen said he was a beautiful baby, and we argued over it. So that's one of my memories. But one of the things I remember most about Stephen is that he was the hardest working little kid I've ever seen. He would follow behind his dad, Jerry, all the time and work with him, and it was expected of him. Jerry wanted him to work and taught him a great work ethic, and he grew up to become a great worker. And another thing I remember a lot is about how he worked so much with Jerry. Even as an adult, he was building his house, and Jerry had just retired, and he said he worked more with Stephen than he did actually when he worked for a living. He had to retire he needed to just go back to work. So, but most of all, what I remember about Stephen is how wonderful he was and how kind, and how his hug, he was so tall, handsome, and he would just hug you, and that I really miss.
Hi, Anderson family. I want to share a few thoughts with you all. I will now read from my teleprompter. Lisa, you are an amazing aunt, mother, daughter, and wife. Colleen, you and Jerry have done an outstanding job with your kids and now as a grandparent. I have such hope when I see Grant, Lexi, August, and my Andrew, Jacob, Victor, Tony, and Josie. Colleen, we are so lucky to have them in our lives. My most vivid memory of Steve are the high school hairdo days and his never-ending grin. A sweet boy grew into a very good man. Your family is your North Star. Follow their wisdom and strength. Surround yourself with good people. You will do great things, I'm sure. Believe me, bigly. With love to you all, happy birthday, Steve.
So the first time Lisa described Steve to me, I thought for sure her brother was a Viking warrior that would do no less than crush my skull if I ever did her wrong. But the first time I met Steve, saw that big old smile and got that big pat on the back, I knew he was just a big old teddy bear. And as long as you treated him good, he'd treat you good. That's the kind of guy he was. That's why we miss him every day. He showed me a lot of things, taught me how to do things I really didn't think I was capable of doing. If you'd asked me, I would have always said no. And Steve was always the guy saying, oh yeah, we can do that. Here, I'll show you. He was a great guy. He's a great dad. I learned a lot just by watching how he does things. And I'll take what I learned from him and apply that to Augie. And, you know, those are the ways we're going to let Augie know who his Uncle Steve was. A really great guy that we miss every single day. Love you guys.
Okay, here we go. All right, hi guys. To my favorite people in the world, I hope you've enjoyed what I've done to celebrate the memory of Steve and his birthday today. So now it's time for my video. And what I've done is I've wanted to share with you what I miss about your dad and your son and my brother, and what makes me smile about Steve. So first off, things that always make me smile about Steve when I think about him are his smile. He literally had one on his face every time you saw him. So many people say that about him. And as a result, it made it nearly impossible to be in a bad mood around him. And he always just seemed to brighten your day. Things that make me smile when I think about Steve are how he would always tell me that I was the best sister he had. Except in typical Steve fashion, it wasn't always proper grammar. And instead he would say that I was the best sister he got. Things that make me smile, and always made me smile, is how he would yell "soup's on" whenever the food was ready and he had cooked a delicious meal. And I will forever smile about the time where he led me to believe that he had stolen gas so he could buy me a cheeseburger from McDonald's. Typical Steve. Now for things that I miss about my brother. I miss how he would call me and Mama and Uncle Keith when the weather was turning bad, to ensure we weren't going anywhere or to ensure that we made it home safely. And I think Uncle Keith has a story about that, about the time he didn't listen to Aunt Lisa and as a result got his car stuck on the road. And guess who rescued him? It was your dad. I miss that he was so knowledgeable about all things house related. I could literally call him with any question that I had, and he would always know the answer. I miss being able to call him when Mama is driving me crazy. She drives me crazy a lot, and I could call your dad and tell him, and he would most often agree with me that she was also driving him crazy as well. I miss his ribs. Grant, you have to share that recipe because you say you know it. I miss that he was always there when I needed him. Maybe not immediately, but eventually. And eventually could mean next week, next month. It just depended upon your dad. As I've said before, when I think of your dad and your son and my brother, what breaks my heart into pieces is that Augie will never know his Uncle Steve. But I can promise you I will tell him all the time what a wonderful man that Steve was. Augie will know his Uncle Steve through the stories we share and the memories that make us laugh. Happy birthday, Steve. You are truly the best brother I could have ever hoped for. I love you guys.
It's perfect outside, it's like God let me dial up the weather. Got the whole crew here, I ain't seen some of them in forever. It's one of those never forget it, better stop and take it in kind of scenes. Everything's just right, except for one thing. You should be here, standing with your arm around me here, and cutting up, cracking a cold beer, saying cheers. Hey y'all, it's sure been a good year. It's one of those moments that's got your name written all over it. And you know that if I had just one wish, it'd be that you didn't have to miss this. You should be here. You'd be taking way too many pictures on your phone, showing them off to everybody that you know back home, and even some you don't. Yeah, they say now you're in a better place, and I would be too if I could see your face. You should be here, standing with your arm around me here, and cutting up, cracking a cold beer, saying cheers. Hey y'all, it's sure been a good year. It's one of those moments that's got your name written all over it. And you know that if I had just one wish, it'd be that you didn't have to miss this. Oh, you should be here, you'd be loving this, you'd be freaking out, you'd be smiling. Yeah, I know you'd be all about what's going on right here, right now. God, I wish somehow you could be here. Oh, you should be here. Yeah, this is one of those moments that's got your name written all over it. And you know that if I had just one wish, it'd be that you didn't have to miss this. Oh, you should be here. You should be here.
I ain't rich, but I damn sure wanna be. Working like a dog all day ain't working for me. I wish I had a rich uncle that'd kick the bucket and I was sitting on a pile like Warren Buffett. I know everybody says money can't buy happiness, but it can buy me a boat. It can buy me a truck to pull it. It can buy me a Yeti 110 ice down with some silver bullets. Yeah, and I know what they say, money can't buy everything. Well, maybe so, but it can buy me a boat. They call me redneck, white trash, and blue collar, but I could change all that if I had a couple $1 million. I keep hearing that money is the root of all evil, and you can't fit a camel through the eye of a needle. I'm sure that's probably true, but it still sounds pretty cool, 'cause it could buy me a boat. It could buy me a truck to pull it. It can buy me a Yeti 110 ice down with some silver bullets. Yeah, and I know what they say, money can't buy everything. Well, maybe so, but it can buy me a boat to float down on the water with a beer. I hear the Powerball lotto is sitting on 100 mil. Well, that'll buy me a brand new rod and reel. And it can buy me a boat. It could buy me a truck to pull it. It could buy me a Yeti 110 ice down with some silver bullets. Yeah, and I know what they say, money can't buy everything. Well, maybe so, but it can buy me a boat. Yeah, and I know what they say, so, but it can buy me a boat. Yeah, it can buy me a boat.
You know how stinking girls
Grant
are?
Michael.
Boy.
Boy.
You know how stinking girls
Steve.
are?
What are you going?
In it!
An it. Okay. Hopefully it's not an it. Lexi.
A girl. I'm going for a girl.
A girl.
How about
Can I eat
twins?
it now?
No.
Twins.
Diane,
Twins.
what do you
Twins.
think? It better not be twins.
Boy.
Boy. Mama?
Girl.
Girl. Uncle Keith. Uncle Keith knows. Don't say anything.
I know.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Can I eat it now?
hold
Can I
on.
eat it now?
On your mark.
I want to eat it. Can I eat it? I'm eating it.
On
3,
your
2, 1.
mark.
I'm eating.
Go. What is it? What is it?
It's a boy. I couldn't resist.
Well, are we happy with the boy?
Yeah. Grant, you will be outnumbered. I knew it.
Oh, I love you.